play. And another foul on board. His third for setting a screen.
Because of physical play, although Jordan Taylor just got caught with a moving screen.
Pick and roll. And a foul. Offensive foul coming up. Ken Valentine standing right there.
Izzo dying for a moving screen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Moving Screen Podcast. I am Brendan Quinn here with Dylan Burkhart. Have a little top 25 preseason ranking today of players. So this is a Michigan State, Big Ten, check all the boxes pod. So no complaining.
All inclusive. Everyone gets a little bit of action. Probably everyone gets something to complain about, actually.
Even far more importantly, there you go. Now we're talking. But
yeah.
The full top 25 player rankings. Why don't you introduce this, since this is your brainchild here, your baby.
An annual thing we do over at Hoops along with friends at Inside the Hall. We go through and we rank the top 25 players in the conference heading into the year. Sometimes we're somewhat accurate. Sometimes we're wildly wrong. Last year we made a few mistakes, but that happens. And that's just a fun way to kind of start talking about the league, looking at players in the league, and start getting into it around preseason time.
What was Xavier Simpson ranked last year?
Xavier Simpson was unfortunately not ranked last year. Not a great call. So we're prioritizing defense this year in the rankings. We don't hit 100%.
But we always Brad Davis in your top five?
We always generate a little discussion. So for this pod, I wanted to kind of talk about the rankings. Brendan can poke fun at our rankings. We can get into it and see where we agree, where we disagree, and kind of get into the league. What do you think?
Love it. So
we're recording this pod on Wednesday or Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday, September 10th.
It's my birthday.
The list you will have already been able to... Oh, happy birthday. You didn't tell me that. No. How was I going to know that?
Yeah, it's my birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. But we're recording this early because as a birthday present, I'm getting the hell away from my laptop and my computer and the state of Michigan. So
caught me off guard, man. Happy birthday.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
This is what you get for your birthday.
24.
Discuss the Big Ten top 25. How does it feel?
Hey, as a newly minted 24-year-old, I'm happy to do this for my birthday. Wonderful.
Forever young.
I there's nothing more that I love than talking Big Ten basketball in September. So this is awesome. I'm excited. I was getting geared up last night, going through the rankings, looking up some numbers, reading some stuff, kind of getting caught up because I'm making that transition from golf back to basketball. And dude, I was pretty fired up. I'm excited.
I feel like there's a new side of you that's. I feel like golf has brought some analytics into your repertoire. You're digging deeper in the numbers now.
Deeper in the numbers.
You're dropping golf analytics all over the place on my timeline. I want you to carry that into the basketball season.
As a wise man once told me, give the people what they want, Dylan.
Fair enough.
There you go. All right, let's get into the ranking. Why don't you read off your top 10? We'll go through the top 10, and then we'll get into the back half instead of sitting here and reading 1 through 25. I don't think that makes for a good radio.
It probably does not make for good radio. So I'll just go 10 to 1 through our top 25. And if you want to read the whole list, you can find it on Inside the Hall, Hoops, all sorts of good stuff there. We kind of break down each player. But starting at 10, we have Jon Teske.
You have Jon Teske. So this is you and
this is
Alex,
the official list,
right? This is you and Alex have voted on this. You go back.
So
and
we can
tell them the process.
We can talk a little bit about process, sure. So we both come up with our own lists, and then we kind of average the rankings and see where it all comes out, and then we go through and make adjustments along the way. We'll bump someone up, bump someone down, settle some ties. So that's the very scientific process. Got a little Excel sheet with a little VLOOKUP, and then just go rogue from there. So this is the list that we came up with. Along the way, we can talk some of like our biggest gaps between when we both created a list.
Gaps,
and I
gaffs. What's the difference?
Fair enough. So Teske, Kaleb Wesson,
Number 8.
Joe Wieskamp, Jalen Smith, Xavier Tillman,
Number 5.
Ayo Dosunmu at 5, Lamar Stevens at 4, Xavier Simpson at 3, Anthony Cowan at 2, and Cassius Winston at 1. Oh, no, you're already shaking your head.
Well, Cassius Winston's the easy number 1. I don't think anyone in their right mind would argue that. How close is this to what your top 10 was?
It's close. There were a lot of, I would say, there's only everyone that I put in the top 10 is in the top 10.
Okay. So I have some things to discuss here.
All right, let's bring it on. You can debate the list.
I think my biggest complaint is Wieskamp.
Whoa.
I think he's a top 5 player in the league this year.
Okay. I think
without a doubt.
Without a doubt, top 5.
Top 5 without a doubt.
I thought we were fairly high on Wieskamp. I think he has the potential to be a top 5 player. I agree with that completely.
No doubt.
Who are you taking out of the top 5 to put him there, though?
So I don't want this to be me bashing Anthony Cowan.
It seems like you do want that.
But I just don't. I don't see him. I don't see how he's number 2 in the league. I just can't. I can't buy that. So I'd probably move Cowan down. I don't know, to like 6 or 7. If you go through last year, in his loss in Maryland's losses, he went 2 for 72 on threes. He had basically a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio.
Did you say he went 2 for 72 on threes?
20 for 72.
Oh,
I might have said 2. 20 for 72 in their 11 losses. NCAA tournament last year, he went 3 for 13 on twos. He went 4 for 16 on threes. And I don't know if this is one of those deals that, like, every time I watch Maryland, he plays poorly, and then when I'm not watching, he's having these games that people are so high on him for. Like, I had him second or third team all conference last year, so I'm not saying he's a bad player. I just don't think he's top 5 in the league. Okay, go ahead.
How good do you think Maryland will be this year?
Well, here's the thing with Cowan. I don't think he's the best player on his team.
Do you think Jalen Smith is the best player on his team?
This year, I think Jalen Smith is the best player on Maryland.
And here's the thing. Just answer my question. Do you think Maryland is a top what team in the Big Ten?
Top 4 team in the Big Ten.
And did you notice how many Maryland players we had on the list? It's 2.
Just him and Jalen? Okay. That doesn't make him the second best player in the league.
Every other team that you kind of expect to be a contender has at least 3. Which maybe it's a flaw on our list, but I also think it speaks to the fact that he is a senior point guard for a contending team. I don't know that you can overlook that.
He's a senior point guard who statistically took a step back in every single category from his sophomore to his junior year, which is pretty hard to do and rather rare.
He's got a new coach.
You're saying the DeAndre Haynes effect is going to bring...
I'm not, but I'm just saying
that to be the second best player in the league.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that he is an experienced guard who is like he might not have reached the level of Cassius Winston, but Maryland has been a winning team for every year he's been there, and I think he's only going to have a bigger role this year. Do you think it'll be what is the situation where Jalen Smith is a first team All Big Ten player and Anthony Cowan isn't?
Better player, I would say better numbers.
Okay.
More impactful.
All right.
I think Jalen Smith might be He could be the best big in the league this year. Look at their conference numbers from a year ago. Cowan and Jalen Smith. Look at their 3-point numbers. Jalen Smith almost shot as well on threes as Anthony Cowan did in Big Ten play last year. He's the second best player in the league? There's no way. I'm sorry. And how does his numbers drop from sophomore to junior year when he's playing with Bruno Fernando?
Because Bruno Fernando's using up possessions. All right, we'll see. So it's your first disagreement. Where's your next one?
No, it's my second disagreement because Wieskamp, I have...
So you think Wieskamp at 8 is low?
Oh, yeah. I have him 3.
Wow.
Okay, you want me to go through my top 10?
Let's hear it.
Okay. Number 1, Cassius. Number 2, Xavier Simpson. Number 3, Wieskamp. Number 4, Jalen Smith. Number 5, Lamar Stevens. Number 6, Xavier Tillman. 7, Anthony Cowan. 8, AO. 9, Nojel Eastern. 10, Kaleb Wesson.
Couple things. I got a question for you based on your list.
Okay.
Take Cassius Winston out of it.
Yeah.
If you had to pick the second best point guard in the league right now, or the second best ceiling for any of the point guards in the Big Ten right now, who would you pick? Ceiling.
Second best ceiling.
We're saying Winston has the highest ceiling
in the league. I don't know, probably Xavier.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense if that's who you picked there. I would go with AO. I think that...
Wait. Second best ceiling for a point guard?
Yeah.
AO's playing point guard?
Yes. What Trent Frazier... I mean, yes, he's got the ball in his hands. He's not a point guard to you?
No, he's not a point guard to me.
Okay, so you're not including him?
No.
Okay. I think he has that was my answer. So if you're going to just exclude him, that's fine. Okay. So Xavier Simpson. Is your number 2?
Yeah. I think it's based on body of work. I think it's based on potential for this year. He's got 2 major pieces around him. I think his assist numbers are going to be extremely high. His turnover numbers will be extremely low. The defense speaks for itself. And I think there's only glaring areas that are room for improvement. Like, if you want to talk about ceiling, like, the amount that Xavier Simpson can still improve is substantial. Now, what he's been doing behind closed doors, I don't know. Even if he has an identical season to last year, I think he's still a top 3 player in the league, right?
Yeah, I think he's...
But if his 3-point percentage goes up 4 or 5%, if he does anything with his left hand, if he develops a little bit more in between stuff, whatever it might be, like there's just there's a bunch of areas of incremental improvement that I think you take that with what he already has proven that he can do, and it's fairly clear.
Yeah, I think it's harder to see. You're asking him to change a lot of things, right? Like, I think he's a lock for a top 5 player.
Yeah.
I think to get to the second best player in the league, he needs to make threes, right? And develop a left hand, anything, as you said, which doesn't sound easy, but I also wouldn't bet against him. Either way, from outside the list to number 3 is a big leap for him over a season. So kudos to him for that improvement on the list here. I am surprised.
Anthony Cowan only shot 3% better than Xavier did on threes last year.
He also took a lot more difficult threes than Xavier Simpson did.
Well, it's not like Xavier was taking guarded threes. All of his threes he took were open.
So the guy who kind of threw off our top 5 when we were making the list was...
Can I guess?
Who? Yeah, go ahead and guess.
Let me pull up yours. It has to be Lamar Stevens.
Yeah. So We were split on Lamar Stevens.
It's hard. He's hard.
He had a vote for number 2 and a vote for number 5.
You had him at 5.
I'm not a big Lamar Stevens guy.
Right.
It's no secret there. I don't want to expose everyone's votes here, but he is a guy who has always been a big stats, bad team guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know if he's going to prove something different to me by firing up more and more mid-range jumpers.
Right.
And shooting 20% from 3-point range. He's a guy who's going to be in every preseason All Big Ten team because his counting stats are huge. I just can't really get there with him. But at the same time, a lot of the other guys we're putting in this top 10, it's a lot of projection, right? Like Lamar Stevens has done it. You know he's going to get those numbers at the end of the year. So he's a really tough one to kind of figure out where to rank.
Yeah. I mean, his efficiency numbers are fairly terrible. But it's hard to just ignore the leading scorer in the league, regardless who you play for. But at the same time, I mean, like, we've seen this in the Big Ten from your Corey Sanders and all these guys who just, take a bunch of shots, score a bunch of points, and you're just like, well, what do you do with that? I mean, is that good? Yeah, good for them. I do think Stevens gives you more. He's not like I don't think he's a black hole. He's 6'8", like he can do a bunch of things. Most teams the big difference between like Lamar Stevens and some of those other guys who are just kind of point producers and little else. I think Lamar would probably start on damn near every team in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I would love to see Lamar Stevens on a good team.
Exactly. Right.
I mean, he's talented. That's clear. I just wonder if he can ever make threes again. He shot, not a big volume, but he shot 34% on threes as a freshman, then 32% as a sophomore, and he was all the way down at 22%. If he can make threes, he can be a lot more efficient of a weapon for them. It's just because he can make jump shots. Like, he makes a lot of 2-point jump shots. He just hasn't been able to extend that range, and I don't know if that's going to change. It's not like he's going to have way better options to space the floor around him as a senior. So
no, and that's the key word. I feel like is spacing the floor. Where there's just no reason to guard Penn State on the line in any way. So they have to shoot some threes. And I imagine if you went and just watched the video of his 90 whatever threes that he took, most of them are probably regrettable. The team as a whole shot 32%. So
I don't know if there's many shots that were not regrettable last year in State College. We had another one that I caught. You had Nojel Eastern in the top 10.
I do. I think it's
sell me.
It's the entirety of the player. I think he's going to be one of the better upperclassmen in the league. He defends. Is he not a top?
He defends.
3 or 4 defender in the league. Okay, well, that's half of the game right there. If you're going to have Xavier Simpson in the top 5, given his offensive limitations, you're obviously giving heavy weight to defense. So Nojel Eastern as a defender and a rebounder, and I think he is, a decent offensive player. He's a decent option who's played with guys who took shots ahead of him. I'll be curious to see what he does this year. I don't think he's going to be.
What does Nojel Eastern look like on offense this year? Do you build your team around him?
No.
I just think that
you have Jon Teske in the top 10. Is Michigan building its entire offense around Jon Teske?
No,
Xavier Tillman at 6.
I think a big guy can play a different role than a guard.
I look at Nojel Eastern as a dude who isn't just a guard.
But all he can do is guard. I don't know. So we both had him outside of the top 10. So that's an interesting one. Jon Teske was one of our most polarizing picks. Where did you have him in the top 10? No,
I had him just outside. My pick for the 10th spot was probably my hardest decision of the guys that had to be left out. I ultimately went with Kaleb Wesson just because production is production, and if you talk about his body of work and then what he's likely to do this year, as long as he's on the court, will be pretty hard to ignore. It's just kind of one of those. It's one of those things. But at the 10 spot, I wanted Aaron Henry to be there. I considered Giorgi. Ultimately, basically went with Wesson there. I even considered Isaiah Livers a little bit.
Ooh. So, with Teske,
yeah.
If you had to pick one center in the league to build your team around, you're going to say Jalen Smith, but Jalen Smith, say someone other than Jalen Smith.
Xavier Tillman.
Who would you choose? Okay, that's fair. But if you had to pick Kaleb Wesson or Jon Teske to build your team around, who would you pick?
Jon Teske.
That's what
and that's fair. That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
I just think his role is more maybe defined, and he can't do this, he can't do that. But with what he can give you on both ends, and obviously it's more on defense, I just think he's a better piece overall. So I had him ahead of Wesson in my list. Wesson still came in a little bit ahead of Teske on our final list, but that was my logic, at least with kind of bumping Teske up there.
Sure.
And that probably falls on me that he ended up in our top 10.
I think it's completely fair. I mean, I think he'll certainly be preseason second or third team all league.
I don't know. I wouldn't say certainly. Third team. He'll be in that.
Third team.
I think he'll be closer to 15 if you were to look at it like the preseason all league teams.
Fair.
I think there's a very good chance someone from the 8 to 15 range ends up in the top 5. Would you agree with that?
Well, if you're going from the 8 to 15, then yes, it's going to be Joe Wieskamp.
Okay. Okay. So,
can we talk about Joe, my man?
Let's talk about him.
Okay. Last year he was playing with, right? So let's just kind of take him from last year on. Because last year he was playing with Tyler Cook, Jordan Bohannon, Nicholas Baer, Isaiah Moss. They're all gone, right? Baer graduated, Cook went pro, Bohannon has hip surgery. I don't even think he's going to play this year, right? And then Moss transferred to Kansas. So, wide open for this guy to be the man. His skills are obviously speak for themselves. I know we both love him. If you look at him from last year comparatively, his numbers are pretty much on par with Ayo. And Ayo has, people talk about him because he's such a good pro prospect and he is probably a little flashier and more fun to watch. But Joe averaged more rebounds per game, shot a higher percentage from the field, shot a higher percentage on threes. He shot over 42%. In his in conference games, he was top 10 in Ken Palm in both offensive rating and turnover rate. And he has exponential room to grow because he didn't really create anything for himself last year. He didn't play out of ball screens. They didn't ever put him in ISO spots or anything like that. But I have no doubt in my mind that he is capable of doing all of those things. Do you?
That's the question. I love how efficient he was last year. He was one of the best spot-up players in the league, along with Iggy Brasdeikis, in just terms of being able to play off of someone. And I guess the only question is if he can be that guy who you play through instead of play to. Yeah. And you just don't really know until someone can do that. And obviously, if he can, he's going to put up huge numbers because he put up huge numbers as basically just a guy standing in the corner and making plays when they came to him. And that's a great weapon, but Jordan Bohannon also was at the top of every scouting report for Iowa last year. Sure. And his ability to draw defenders out on the perimeter, if he's not playing this year, which we still don't know, I guess kind of up in there. Mm-hmm. For the record, we did not include him on the list because it sounds like he's probably not playing. Right. He would be a top 25 player. But if Wieskamp can do all that, yeah, he's for sure the guy I would say has the most potential to break in just because of the situation there and how efficient he already was. He's a shot maker. Can he be a shot creator? We'll see.
And so it'll basically be, their point guard question is going to be huge, and it's going to have a direct impact on him. It'll basically be him, Colin McCaffrey, and Luka Garza. There's kind of their
Yeah,
three.
Garza.
And I
Garza's
love Garza.
really good.
Love Garza.
And he'll draw. He needs to become a better passer a bit out of the post, but he's already a really good scorer down there.
Yeah.
That can create a lot of opportunity for Wieskamp to play off of anyway. So I like that too. The two guys who were polarizing for us in the teens were Nate Reuvers and Giorgi
Bezhanishvili. And this is my number one complaint on the whole list.
Is what?
Nowhere on earth should Nate Reuvers be ranked above Giorgi Bezhanishvili on this list. That is completely insane.
There's a lot of
you love Reuvers.
Hype.
This is all you. This is
it's not
all
me.
you.
It's not me.
This
It's opposite.
all you.
I had Giorgi at 11.
Your boy. Oh, you did? All right. Well, that's more reasonable.
I had Reuvers at 16.
He scored double figures once in the last 13 games of the year.
Well,
Giorgi averaged 14.6 over the last 13 games of the year.
I'm all in on Illinois. I mean, I'm not
all in on Illinois. I'm all in on Giorgi, though.
Okay. I think that he has all the potential in the world. I guess maybe they bring in a few more pieces and maybe like that limits some of his opportunities, but I don't think so. He's great. I love him. I don't think you can sleep on Reuvers either, though. Reuvers.
You and Alex just think every big white guy at Wisconsin eventually becomes Frank Kaminsky or Ethan Happ or something, or some kind of All-American of some kind.
Someone has to shoot the ball there.
They can average 55 a game.
Well, they averaged like 55 a game last year. Ethan Happ did everything, so someone has to do something there, right? And he's a great defender. If you're going to be hyping up Nojel Eastern, you have to give like that Wisconsin defense was really built around him in the middle there last year in a lot of ways.
I feel bad not being 100% positive whether it's Reuvers or Reuvers.
Well, that's why people like the pod.
I don't think that is why they like the pod.
I think it's Reuvers.
All right. Like, what do you think is his ceiling this year?
Double ish, like
good lord,
like 12 and 8 a game. Who's gonna play for them? Like
he averaged 8 and 4 last year. You think he's gonna go up to 8 boards a game?
How many rebounds a game did Ethan Happ grab?
I don't know.
A lot. I just like. He's the only big guy they really have. I guess Micah Potter, the Ohio State transfer.
Mm-hmm.
The Bart Torvik projections 11 and 6. Is that more agreeable for you?
Yeah, it's not going to be as much as Giorgi Bezhanishvili.
No, I agree. That's why I had Giorgi 5 spots ahead.
Well, I'm gonna have to hop on Alex's pod, give him the business. Because it's unacceptable. Why is he so high on him?
You must be buying into the hype. I think Bart Torvik brainwashes us all.
And a listener, I think.
Yeah, he's calling out corrections on Twitter. Yeah. I apologize for reading the Ken Pom list of worst offensive performances backwards, but he reversed it and it threw me off. I guess that's why your site exists.
There you go. So I didn't really have...
You have any other big
I didn't really
complaints?
have any huge complaints, like basically into the teens and 20s. Like I feel like a lot of these guys are, at the end of the day, they're pretty much interchangeable. You can move some guys up, you can move some guys down. I didn't see anything egregious. Why don't you read off the list from 11 through 20?
All right, so we'll go from the
Just
top this time. So
order.
11 is Aaron Henry, 12 Nojel Eastern, 13 Nate Reuvers, Giorgi Bezhanishvili at 14, Luka Garza 15, we changed this. Isaiah Livers is 16, Travion Williams is 17, Dimitri Trice is 18,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got Matt Harms, Trent Frazier, And then wrap it up with Oturu at Minnesota at 21, Langford 22, Trace Jackson Davis at 23, EJ Liddell at 24, and Mike Watkins at 25.
Only one Indiana player in the 25.
Only one Indiana player. There's 3 schools with 1 player on the list, and 3 schools without representation.
Who are the 3 schools without representation? Let me guess. Minnesota?
Nope, Oturu.
Oh, Oturu. Rutgers. Nebraska.
Oh. We literally don't know who's on the roster at this point.
I forgot Nebraska was in the Big Ten again.
And Northwestern is the final one. Penn State, Minnesota, Indiana all have 1.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that just comes down to roster construction for those schools. Like, there's just so many pieces and unknowns. It's hard to really pencil someone in.
Sure. Josh Langford at 22. I imagine that one brought some consternation.
It's just tough because there's already Michigan State's the only team on the list with 4 players.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already ahead of the pack there. Langford, I mean, we've talked about him on the pod, right? Like, how healthy is he? What does his role look like on this team? He obviously, like, if he's a 15-point per game scorer like he was until he got hurt last year, he probably deserves to be higher up on the list just from his sheer production. But what does Michigan State look like this year? Where does he fit in? It's just so hard to tell right now, right? I mean, you look in a lot of the preseason magazines, a lot of people have him as a top 30, top 40 player in the country, so maybe we're a little too low on him in this context, but...
No. The national rankings are never more...
It's a data point.
Educated than the local rankings.
It's a data point, and I think, but people look at Langford as a former All-American, a 5-star recruit who averaged 15 points a game and got hurt. A lot of projecting Michigan State as the number 1 team is that he's going to play a key role on that team.
Sure.
You disagree?
No, I mean, everyone is automatically penciling him in as the starting 2. Langford's back. That's incredible, and
where would you rank him?
But we know it's not quite that simple. I think this is about right. I would probably say like 20 range. Like when you just look at some of the names here, it's like seeing Travion Williams and Matt Harms and Trent Frazier's names ahead of Josh Langford is kind of head scratching, but it's also like, well, yeah, because we don't know what he's going to be this year. And even if he is fully healthy, what is his production? Because Cassius Winston is Cassius Winston. The last time Josh Langford played, he was still essentially the primary perimeter option. Well, that's not going to be the case anymore. And
what is Aaron Henry going to
Aaron Henry and Xavier Tillman are legit dudes who are going to be highly, highly productive, gets lots of touches, get lots of looks. So Langford kind of has to find his way, like we've said on the thing. Could he be a volume shooter because that's his DNA? Yeah, sure. Is that a good thing? Probably not.
What if he's just a volume 3-point shooter who just gets wide open looks all the time? He could
that would be terrific.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's just hard to really know.
Mike Watkins, I thought, was an interesting pick because Mike Watkins is like the definition of the guy that could be outside of the honorable mention, but also has the talent to be like top 15.
His per 40s last year were incredible.
Yeah.
Like I think it's 16, 14, and 5 are his per 40 stats. Obviously last year was kind of a disaster for him.
Right.
But he could easily average a double-double. Like he wasn't even healthy last year. There's all sorts of issues going on there, suspensions, whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, he only started 14 of 27 games. Like, it was just weird.
I didn't really feel good. Like, some of these people, you're going through the list and you're trying to write up like their little blurb, and you're like, how the hell is this person on the top 25 list?
Right.
But then you think about who to put in front of them, and it gets tricky. I think the list of players who we like almost put on the list and kind of miss, it's easy to see those guys playing their way in, whether it's a freshman who we didn't talk about, whether it's Brad Davison who we didn't include, who I think is probably one of our more controversial exclusions in the list. But that that range down at the bottom is tricky. Another guy who we disagreed on quite a bit was Travion Williams. Where would you put him? He was one of our wider ranking splits.
I see Travion averaging. The problem is that it's him and Harms, and it's sometimes they kind of can cancel each other out. Sometimes they can kind of bolster each other. So that's kind of tough. But I think at the end of the day, come March 10th of next year, you'll probably look down and Travion Williams will have averaged 12 or 13 and 8.
Yeah.
So,
and someone has to. There's a lot of shots up for grabs in this Purdue offense,
for sure.
And we've kind of seen Painter reinvent his teams over the last few years, right? Like you had the really post-up heavy teams, and then last year not as much of that. I think they might have to go back to some of that post-up heavy action with Travion Williams as kind of the guy, because I don't know who else is going to score. And you're not going to just.
You have to remember too, he has a freshman year under his belt. Like he's gone through a full off season of Purdue's weight program, which is pretty widely respected as being among the best in the country. I think people have to probably get that picture out of their heads of this frumpy, dumpy, fat freshman barely getting up and down the court. But because fact of the matter is, anytime that guy gets his hands on the ball, something good typically happens.
He also played well in a FIBA. I don't know if it was U19 or whatnot, but I think he played well with Team USA, which is usually good experience, especially going into your sophomore year.
Right. But it's a big jump. He only averaged 5 and 4 last year, so to go from that to being a top 20 guy in the league is obviously pretty significant. But I agree with you. I think I've liked Travion. I liked him since last year. I liked him way more the first few times I saw him at Purdue than I ever did seeing him in high school. So it's Purdue. He's a skilled big. Like good things are going to probably happen for that guy.
Yeah, that's fair. A couple guys who I want your opinion on.
By the way, so snubs when you were talking about Davison.
Yeah,
I think you can make a case that Geo Baker is probably a bigger snub than Davison.
So Baker was really close, and then his numbers were just too ugly. It was like he was almost in the original list, and we made a late pivot. I couldn't get there with Geo Baker. What's the sell? Just that Rutgers needs to be represented?
No, certainly. I have never just going the diplomatic route with Rutgers needing to be represented on anything. It's more just I do just think that he is a pretty damn good basketball player, and I think he's going to get better. If they hadn't lost what's his name, the dude who transferred to Oregon,
Omarui,
the big dude, yeah. Like if they had just had some semblance of roster balance for the first time ever, like I would have thought, man, this is a pretty skilled guard who I like a lot of what he can do, and he'll probably be a decent player on a team that's not going to finish in the bottom of the league, right? Because Nebraska's so bad, Northwestern's so bad. Like there's room for Rutgers to finish like 10th. And
in the Big Ten last year,
I know his numbers are brutal.
Shot 34% on twos, 33% on threes, and had a higher turnover rate than assist rate.
Right. I don't disagree. I'm just saying, if that dude was coming back and Rutgers, like I would have felt like, hey, Rutgers could be a top 10 team in the league and Geo Baker will be their best player. Maybe he could fit in the 25 spot of the rankings. You know what I mean? Like that's the extent of it. But Brad Davison,
he's comfortably.
If his name wasn't Brad Davison, where is his consideration for this list?
I just think it comes down to someone has to score. But I like Trice on the list better because I think Trice is the better creator, the more dynamic scorer, and I think if you're going to have to redesign an offense, I think it's going to be more shots for Dimitri Trice.
So that's no greater determining factor to what happened to Wisconsin last year than Dimitri Trice's 3-point shooting.
And it kind of fell off late in the season, but I think that he has the potential to carry that team a bit.
Yeah, I was saying that to bolster your argument. I agree with you.
The Maryland sophomore guards.
Yeah.
High or low on them? that they could really make or break the list, I would say. I think both have potential to be top 15. We're talking about Eric Ayala and
Wiggins.
Aaron Wiggins.
Right.
Both of those guys are potentially really good. It
I
says
think you could say
something to come
I had the same thing with the Ohio State guys, Carton and Walker, where I'm just like, I have no idea how good they're going to be, how productive they'll be. It's basically like if you're going to be high on either pairing of them, then you're basically saying that team is a no doubt about it, like top 20 team in the country probably. Maybe not Ohio State, but actually maybe Ohio State, you know? If DJ Carton and CJ Walker are legit dudes, well, that's going to be a pretty damn good team. And if Wiggins and Ayala. Sorry, I was stuck on that one last night too. Don't trust me, I know his name, I just can't pronounce it. If you're buying those two being legit dudes, then Maryland's like a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament and probably a top
even
3
with
team.
Anthony Cowan at point guard?
Amazingly so. They'll have to overcome some things, but I'm sure they can get there.
The Michigan and Michigan State freshmen. Franz Wagner was under consideration. Rocket Watts. Where you fall on those?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't. I am high on Watts long term, but there's only so much to go around at Michigan State this year. I just can't imagine him getting the production. I think he's going to be one of those guys who has like a couple bursts and games where you're like, oh my god, this guy's going to be a monster as a sophomore, but they just don't need him to be. Now, this is operating under the assumption that Langford is
healthy
enough
to play major minutes,
right, for the majority of the year. If something crazy happens and Watts is suddenly the starting 2 for the extent of the year, well, yeah, I could see this being much more of a conversation. Michigan, I just have no idea how good Franz is going to be. Like, I'm certainly a believer in his skills and think it was a great get and for Michigan and all this stuff, but I just have his freshman year. Just, you were there for Mo's freshman year. I was there for Mo's freshman year. We know, yes, I know, Franz is better. Franz is further along. He played at a higher level, blah, 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 blah. It's just a big, big, big adjustment. So, I don't know enough about him, and I haven't seen him with my own eyes to roll, like, major dice on him and say, this dude's coming in and going to average double digits and be a 42% three-point shooter and change the way Michigan looks. I just don't know.
Yeah, that's where the back end of the list I think gets tricky is there are guys with higher ceilings who you might have outside the list, but there are also a lot of names who you can pretty much lock in as double-digit contributors for at least good to above average teams who it's easier to put in here, and that sometimes get us into trouble when you come to the end of the year and you're like, wait, you didn't have so-and-so on the list, but it's just so hard with the freshmen, especially when you try to project opportunity. And obviously there's a lot of opportunity at Michigan. Like, it wouldn't be surprising to see Franz Wagner be ahead of Isaiah Livers if we did this list at the end of the year. It wouldn't be impossible. But I just think it's hard to get there. And that would also put Michigan with 4 of the top 25 players in the league, which just seems high to me considering everything else. But it does speak to, I guess, those solid pieces that Michigan has at the top, right? It's really
I agree with you.
That 4 through 10 range where you're wondering about Michigan. So those are a couple. My sleeper that I think should be on the list that could have a huge year, Aaron Wheeler at Purdue. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be a breakout guy this year. Buying lots of Aaron Wheeler stock, but we couldn't get there to put him on the list. But one to watch. Any other hot takes or disagreements?
No, I haven't. I wish I had time last night to kind of actually go through rosters and kind of try to jog my memory on guys that I did like last year that I think could, be a breakout type guy. It's not. There was no guys who really have remained at least in the back of my mind over the course of the summer of like, oh man, this is the dude who's gonna kind of change the way we look at this team or whatever it might be. So maybe I'm sure through the preseason doing bullshit that I'll come up with a couple names, but no, I think it was a decent list other than some egregious decisions that I've already pointed out.
So we have, I think, just 2 freshmen on the list, and they're 23 and 24. How many freshmen do you think will be? Did I miss someone? I think that's it, right? There's basically no freshmen in the top 10, 15, which usually there's at least 1 or 2. Right. Do you think, how many freshmen do you think at the end of the season are on the all Big Ten first 3 teams? You think?
Very few. You look at it traditionally, really? It's pretty rare. It is.
All right, like the top 3 teams?
Yeah, let's look at last year's.
Romeo.
Yeah, Romeo, I think, was second team. I did not vote him second team.
Iggy.
So last year, none on the first team. The second team, there was Romeo and Iggy, and that was it.
Okay. So do you think, what would you put over under 1.5 on this year's top 3 teams?
Over.
Okay.
I'll take over. I would say it'll be like, I'd say like 3 is probably a reasonable thing. And it'll be like 2 like known commodities and maybe a guy who's just like a sleeper. There's like a Purdue has another like top 150 kid from like Valparaiso. I forget his name. Newman, something like that. Like someone like that. Or maybe there's a Philly kid at Maryland, Dante Scott. Don't sleep.
I could see someone, usually when it's a guy off the radar a bit, it's at a school that's probably not going to have a particularly good season who puts up big numbers. You see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that would be right now, but I just think it's.
Well, and like you never know, like someone like Maryland, or literally we don't know who's on Nebraska. So, say someone there has to put up some production, right?
That's like, a great example. Yeah. A freshman there or a JUCO guy there is going to get points because someone's going to score points and they're going to play fast as all hell.
Yeah.
So that is for sure a situation where you can watch if you're trying to scout out some Big Ten all-freshman team futures somewhere. Let me know if you find a place to lay some action on those.
I like that.
So that's our list. I feel pretty good about the list this year. I don't see any super snub coming up. Do you? I mean,
people will find it just based on who they want to root for. So yeah.
I mean, at the end of the year, like last year, we completely missed. There was a first team all Big Ten player that was not on our list.
All right, give me one name that could be that guy.
Not on the list. Who becomes the all Big Ten type of guy?
Yeah.
I will go with DJ Carton.
Shit, that was mine. Okay.
But I'm really worried about the 2-point guard. Like, I think that could kind of limit his ceiling, that they already have CJ Walker as an experienced transfer there. That was the logic between not including him.
What was the logic?
That they have CJ Walker also coming in as a point guard who's played in the NCAA tournament and is going to take a lot of minutes and workload in the backcourt, right? He's not going to be able to come in and be a Trey Burke as a freshman where he plays 38 minutes a game and does everything for a team. You know what I mean?
I do. I'll tell you what, if someone could give me a guarantee that Jerome Hunter would somehow be 100% healthy, I would take him in a heartbeat, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case, does it?
No, but that is for sure a name who you could say, but that is a baked-in excuse, so I would feel completely comfortable with that miss if that happened.
There you go. I would take him any day of the week, though, man.
Yeah, I mean, that could change the league, really, if he is healthy and ready to go.
All right.
Most likely in the top 5 to not make the first or second all Big Ten team.
Xavier Simpson.
You're buying and selling on both sides of the equation here.
Well, now, wait a second, though, because I have Cowan outside of my top 5 already.
Okay.
If I'm going by your list, I would vote Cowan.
You don't think? I think Cowan has a second team all Big Ten floor.
Okay.
He's gonna get his.
All right.
And
well,
everyone knows him.
You have to vote for Xavier or Ao.
Or Xavier Tillman, maybe. I guess he's not top 5. He's 6.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say Yeah, I mean, Illinois, we're buying a lot of what could be. So if they go Indiana last year on us, then that might be the one to sell shares of quickly.
I could see AO shooting like 28% on threes and everyone being like, why the hell did this guy come back for a second year of school or something like that. I could definitely see that conversation playing out.
Yeah, so that's a good pick there. But I could also see...
I said Xavier because of the coaching change.
Yeah. He had a perfect role last year.
Yes.
That really played to his strengths, and we don't know what his role is going to be this year. Obviously, he's the point guard, but we don't know what the system is. We don't know how his skills are emphasized. I think AO is the biggest range of outcomes of these. I think if you had to pick one player to win Player of the Year other than Cassius Winston, I would go with him. If you had to pick one player to drop out of the top 10, I'd probably go with him.
I would. The Player of the Year question's a good one. Of like who else
has the actual ceiling to,
unless Bates Diop comes in back to the league and decides to come out of nowhere again to win Player of the Year after being literally not even on a single preseason list.
That would be Jerome Hunter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could see Jalen Smith being the best player in the Big Ten.
Yeah, he was just always such a secondary guy last year. You don't think of him like that.
He was playing with an NBA center.
I understand why, but that's a good example of where we kind of overlook. I agree with that.
Yeah, it's just really hard to envision it. But then at the same time, it's like come February when somebody's doing something. It's like, how did we not see this coming? You know, but unless it's Joe, and if it's Joe, then I'm saying I called it.
Fair enough. I love Wieskamp's game. I'm all in.
Yeah.
He wasn't all Big Ten last year?
No.
He had to be on one of those teams.
No, he was not. The voting was terrible last year, like usual. Amir Coffey and Nick Ward were both on the third team last year. Get out of here.
For the coaches or the media?
That's the coaches. On the media, Nick Ward and Amir Coffey were also third team.
Must be voting off highlight reels.
Last year I got blasted for putting Matt McQuaid up there.
Might be a bit of a stretch, but what are you going to do? We're going to have to do one of these soon.
Yeah,
it's about that time for the Big Ten media poll before the season.
It is.
We're going to have to break down our
Did I send
our
you
votes
your
on
ballot?
that too. You did.
Yeah.
I haven't sent you my responses, but we're going to have to do one of these soon when that comes out. It's right around the corner.
There's going to be a lot of
almost here.
There's going to be a lot of good preseason content. We'll obviously break down Michigan and Michigan State individually, but then we'll also do our preseason picks for standings, all league, player of the year, blah, blah, blah. That'll probably be one mega episode. And then what I think will be more fun will be we're going to do a draft of Big Ten players and track it through the year and see who comes out on top.
And we're going to have to come up with some ground rules for this, and we're gonna do it serious.
We're doing it 100% serious.
We need to figure out like roster construction, like what
totally.
We need to. I'm in.
We're not doing lineup changes week to week. I'll tell you right now, we're not doing that.
No, it's like best ball fantasy. Like you're stuck. You've heard of that?
Dude,
you draft your
already
team
way over my head, but
you draft your team before the season, and you can't make any changes.
Yes.
So you just go with what you got, and we can just track it throughout the year.
Yes. The question will be if we want to do it just between us or if we loop in a third or a fourth person, get it real interesting up in here.
Yeah. I mean, we could take it to the next level. I tried to do a Big Ten fantasy team last year. It's a little hard to keep track of the lineup changes, so I do like the best ball mentality. I mean, that could be fun.
It would be. It would be. Good bragging rights on the line.
Draft some players, and you could track it through the year. We could keep a little scoreboard.
Love it.
Stay tuned for that.
Love it.
You are off on vacation, so
I'm out of here.
Go enjoy and have a good birthday.
I'm going to Boston and Portland, Maine. Deleting the Twitter app off the phone.
That's a lie.
For a week. Bringing my clubs. Playing some New England autumn golf. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Going to be amazing. So, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to share it with your friends. Be sure to share your thoughts with us. We appreciated all the feedback that we got on the Beeline Opus that we put out there. I guess what would be last week. And if you missed that, be sure to go back and check it out. I think it was a lot of fun, and we did miss some stuff, but whatever. It was all on the fly, so deal with it. Rate the pod, subscribe to Hoops, subscribe to The Athletic, and be sure to tip your bartenders and your servers. Good night.